tired of being in the corporate world. I spent a little over 20 years, almost 25 actually, working in the mining industry. And while I loved every minute of it, I got to travel the world, meet some really cool people. I've always had an inkling to start something of my own, but I just never really knew what that would be. And then all of a sudden one day I was sitting at my desk and I thought, let me just look at some businesses for sale. And so I started scrolling through and I saw this cleaning company for sale. And I thought, I don't know why. I don't even ask me what made me click on it, because I never thought of myself as a cleaner, let alone clean. I didn't even enjoy cleaning my own home. Whatever, you know what? I'm just going to click on it. And like from that moment that I clicked on it, I was hooked. Like there was something about it that just really inspired me. And the more I thought about it, the more it was a franchise actually. So the more that I talked to the franchise owner and the franchisee and learned about it, I thought, wow, I could really see myself doing this. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put in an offer. I'm going to try and buy this company. Didn't have the money to buy it.
You deal with that later on.
Exactly. That's besides the point. But when they turned down the offer, I'm like, oh, now what am I going to do? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to offer a little bit more. Again, holy shit, what am I doing? I don't have the money to do this, but I want this company.
Yeah.
But they turned it down again. And within a week, someone else bought it. And I kind of wallowed in self-pity for a little while. And then I thought to myself, why wouldn't I just start my own? Why do I need to spend, a few $100,000, well, more than a few $100,000 to buy this thing when I can really just start my own? And so that's kind of what I did. And so over so I'm in my third year, but over the first 2 years, I learned how to clean. I went out to people's homes. I cleaned their homes. I took various different courses. I joined different associations. And I just sort of began that learning process. And then a year ago, I hired staff. So I decided, okay, I'm at a point now where I can step back. I had enough clients. I knew what I was doing. I know what works, what doesn't work. Just some of the little intricacies of, what it really takes to clean a home or a business. So I can teach other people to do it. So that's kind of what I did. I hired 2 employees, taught them what I knew, and then off they went. And then from those 2, I had another 2, and 2 became 6. So we have a team of 6 now. Hopefully next week we'll have a couple more. We'll see.
That's really awesome. I didn't know the part about you trying to buy a company before. Do you know, like when you talked about your inspiration for it, do you know now, looking back at it, what it was that was drawing you to look at that franchise?
I think it was a bigger company, one of the well-known ones. And I think they had a team of about 20. So they had 40 staff. They work in teams of 2. And one of the things that I loved about my career is all the people that I worked with. Like I loved going to work every day and, just standing around the kitchen or the coffee maker and just sort of shooting the shit, how was your day?
Yeah.
Or the weekend, that kind of stuff. And I think it was just the idea of maybe it becoming a family.
Okay.
So that was kind of really what drew me to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with your company, give your company a shout out, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't do that. Inside Out Cleaning Services.
How would people find you, by the way?
On Instagram, Facebook, or our website, www.insideoutvancouver.ca.
As well, I'll make sure that they're posted in the comments of this. It was on the Facebook post, the direct link to your website and everything as well. So
yeah, actually, I'm kind of excited about the website because I was finally at a point where I could redo it. So we had some professional photos taken, and so it's nice to be able to see that progress. And when I first started having all those stock images to now actually having real shots of real people, real homes.
Well, you got to get started somewhere, right? I think we were talking about that a little bit before we went live as well. It's like you got to start somewhere, and if you don't have that first little kernel, then it makes it really hard to actually improve upon it. One of the statements that drives me a little bit bonkers is like new and improved. Like, is it new or is it improved? You can't actually be both, right? So by starting your website and just going, hey, we're out here, we're ready for business, we can start moving now, and you can grow upon that. So that's it's when people hear that, I think it's important. A lot of people that are trying to get into business or thinking about, I've got an idea, or maybe they're already running a business, maybe they don't have a promotional piece of material They're waiting for it to be perfect. Do
You've
you
been
need to
waiting
wait for it to be perfect?
You'd be waiting forever then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely, I think it's one of those things it's always a work in progress. As we grow as individuals, so does our company,
Yeah.
and our processes and our procedures. So it's something that's always evolving, I guess.
Well, and you've talked about going your first 2 years, it was just you on your own for 2 years, learning how to be like work in the or on the business, or sorry, in the business, I guess, is being in there.
Actually.
Well, yeah, like when you're on your own, you're wearing all the hats, right? But to be in your industry and be really good at it, you actually have to know kind of what you're doing. And it's a lot more than just coming in and like how I would clean my own house, which is not doing the deep clean or the dusting or some of the grosser stuff, but like actually understanding that. And then now you're to the point that you're training people and building up your team by the sounds of it at a fairly good pace, because probably you have a very good reputation.
I have to say, knock on wood, we've we've got some really, really good Google reviews. We work with some awesome people that have referred us to their friends and neighbors. Um, so I'd have to say, over the past 6 months, things have certainly like changed considerably. Before COVID happened, we were kind of at a point where I could fill a week with clients. We were still in that kind of small stage. I'm still in the small stage,
Yeah.
but when COVID hit, literally overnight, I lost all my clients. And I sat there and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I've quit my job to start this company. How am I going to survive? I've got 2 kids to support, but I don't know how. I think just based on our reputation with some of the realtors and construction people that we worked with, they sort of kept us afloat. So during the whole COVID, when we were in the lockdown phase, we weren't able to go into people's homes, but we were able to do move out cleans.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody moved out of their apartment or sold their home, I think we were the first ones that they would call. And so that really is what kept us afloat. And then since now that we're kind of back to the normal course of business, the phone's been ringing.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of move out cleans again. So whereas before where it was typically just your weekly, bi-weekly traditional maid service, so to speak. But now we're also known for our move in and move out cleans, which has been wonderful.
Yeah. And as well, I think you've been like playing around with some other unique tools that can help during, especially dealing with disinfecting work environments and stuff.
And that's something that you've been wonderful at helping me figure out. So thank you for that. Yeah. So one of the other things that we do is the commercial side of cleaning, where we go in and clean offices. Offices at up to about 3,000, 3,500 square feet. And like I said, when COVID hit, I started to think about, oh my God, what can we do to stay afloat and just sort of differentiate ourselves from other companies. So one of the things that I did was I enrolled in a cleaning course. And so I'm actually now a certified residential cleaner and commercial cleaner as well. But there's so many different tools and products that are available. And so I started to look into those and I thought, yeah, okay, you know what? Let's try and offer something a little bit more unique by doing disinfecting services. So that's one thing that we've added to our toolkit and that we're offering our clients is the electrostatic spray, which disinfects offices like in a breeze.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think the way you explained it, it's a similar tool to what's used on airliners and stuff, correct?
Actually, a lot of the airlines, hotels, schools, yeah, it really, if you look at it, it looks like one of those big water guns. Do you remember when
Yeah.
you had those big plastic water guns? It literally looks like that, and you can spray down a room within minutes with total coverage. So it's not like you actually have to go piece by piece or apparatus by apparatus and spray it down, wait for it to to sit, to do its little magic, and then wipe it off. With this electrostatic sprayer, you basically spray down a room and it just engulfs whatever it is that you're spraying down. So you can really disinfect a room in a fraction of the time that it would take, just by doing it manually with a little spray bottle.
Right. And that's, especially in this day and age, is a huge competitive factor, being able to do that, right? The quicker you can do that, the quicker people can get back to business. And understanding, I think the way you've explained it is like it's not a magical shell that's there forever. Like as soon as there's contact and stuff with it, it does expose it back to bacteria and viruses and things along those lines. So, but it's something that can be done in, like you say, in minutes versus hours of deep cleaning all the time. So it could be a huge, huge factor for anybody that any area that has people that are coming and going on a much regular basis.
Yeah, well, if you think about, like now with most businesses back to work, and people going into the offices, it's a huge concern. Like you're all sharing a common space, whether that be the kitchen, or every time you go to, use the, use the washroom, the door handles, daycares, anywhere where there's high traffic usage, it's really where it really shines. So that's something that we've certainly seen a good acceptance towards the disinfecting service. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So with you coming to that conclusion that to get this tool to allow yourself to have, continue to bring more value to people as their concerns are changing, getting into that, like, into this COVID mindset, it can be like, it's very overwhelming. I can remember back in March and everyone was in that same gut punch reaction going, it didn't matter if you were a CEO or, I say CEO to the janitor, like it didn't matter. You were affected equally.
Mm-hmm.
You saw an opportunity. So how did you get through that to get past the overwhelm and going, oh my God, this is happening, to a point that you're now like, there's an opportunity here. I wonder what that would look like for the services I provide, because I think a lot of people, that would be helpful for a lot of people to know that.
I'd love to take the credit. You said that so nicely. I have to admit, I didn't actually see it as an opportunity. For me, it was more, I have to educate myself about the virus. Like, as an owner of a cleaning company, people are going to look to me to come up with solutions, and I don't have the solutions. So what am I going to do to figure it out? So I started learning. I started researching. I started calling companies. I started looking to see what programs were available. And the cleaning industry is like any other industry in that it has an association. Most professions have some sort of trade association that you can join, which sort of sets the standards of what's acceptable and, kind of regulates, so to
Yeah.
speak. So I joined a cleaning association, the ARCC and ESA. Both are worldwide. And I started taking courses. And through those courses is when I learned that, oh, wait a minute, if you want to clean something, you don't just spray it and clean it off. You actually have to let whatever you're spraying sit on the surface, because it's the spray, it's the solution that you're using that really does the work for you, and it's what's there to kill whatever germs or bacteria is on the surface. So when COVID happened, I really just sort of put, pedal to the metal and like took as many courses as I could, started learning about the virus, learning about what products were available, what tools were available. And then it's kind of like, aha, okay, here's how I can make the money now, or here's what I can offer to add to our services and make us a bit more credible too.
Right. No, and it is a differentiator. So the top of that, the question was around, how do you see this as an opportunity? You said, I didn't. I disagree with you, because what you put your learner hat on, and you got to work about, being curious about what's happening and how does this affect you and how does this affect your industry? What else is in your industry? You had very questions that were going to move you forward, and trying to figure out what is that vision. When I hear the way you just spoke about it, it's like, how do I see the vision for my future and to support this business and take it to that next spot? Where some people may have had that same, I guarantee you there's people in your industries and in every industry that went, oh my God, this is done. We can't do this. I am up Schitt's Creek and there's no paddles. You went, oh, I found a paddle. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I started paddling, right? So it's really important to, I think, share that, is like you did put that learner hat on. It may not have looked like an opportunity at the time, but it definitely was. And you took it as that without labeling it as that.
Yeah, true. Actually, yeah, you're right. And I think that's one of the things that you continue to tell me every month when we're on our calls together. I guess I don't really look at things as opportunities. I just kind of think of it as survival.
Yeah. Well, there's a, are you doing it just to cover your basics, or are you doing it to actually thrive? And I look the way that because we've known each other now for like 3 or 4 months,
Mhm.
and watched you grow. But like, you're definitely, every time I see it, what I'm reflecting is a person who's thriving, not just like making it by. So it's definitely, I put that in that learner category, where you're very open to going, what don't I know yet?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's probably the teacher inside of me. I started off my career as a preschool teacher, albeit only for 2 years, but still.
Well, but it set a framework, right? It sets you up to be that in a different way. I think our mutual friend Jeff Moody, who nailed me with, "Are you a doer? Or are you a teacher?" Right? And the shifts that come when you go, "Oh, I'm a teacher. I guess I am a teacher." Right? It puts you in that different mindset. You have to be like, you're a continual learner, because you're trying to help people who may want to just do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then as well, like, I wanted to take that to the next step about you going from yourself now to 6, maybe even 8 or more people, that you really have to put a teacher hat on to, because now you're making a big shift from going, wow, I'm the person doing all this work. Now I got to learn to hire people, hire the right people, and then train these people while still keeping all of our clients happy, and juggling life and everything else. Like, how's that experience been for you? And how did you feel when you started it? And now when you look back at it, what have you learned, and what's some of the takeaways that you're taking on to now accelerating your team growth?
Yeah. It's definitely something that I continue to work on, because it is something that changes quite fluidly, actually. Um, it really, I think, for me, I'm a very systems oriented person. So trying to figure out how best my staff learn, and then tailoring how I train them to a way that suits them best. And all of them are different in the way they take, direction, and how they learn. Um, so it was just a matter of finding out what works best for them. With some of them, well, with all of them, I do spend time. I spend about a week going through cleans with them. And
Right.
then after that, I step back and I watch them, and I'm like, okay, here's what you do. And then we have manuals as well, that kind of outline different things. I don't know if anybody actually uses them or not. But they ask a lot of questions, which is really, I think that's the key. If they're not sure about something, they just ask. And of course, I'm always looking at ways to better improve our efficiencies and how best to help them succeed in what they're doing.
Right.
It's an ongoing learning process.
Oh, 100%. It's that shift as well. Like, you're not just a teacher, but you're a leader now, right? And now you have to, set the vision, and give your crew an opportunity to thrive and to grow and to learn and be more within this industry.
And I think one of the things I like the most is when they actually give me feedback. Like sometimes it's just like, Salina, I don't think that's the best way to do this. Like, okay, great. Tell me more about it.
Yeah.
And they've come up with some great ideas that, like, I can't think of everything. I don't know what I don't know. And sometimes, you get different perspectives and different ideas. So it's like, yeah, okay, let's try this. If it works, great, we'll implement it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but at least we try.
Well, and that's the thing, is like putting it out there to find out, because that puts you in that collaboration state, which allows everybody to like bring ideas to the table and be like, well, maybe just because that's how you as the boss lady went, well, this is how we did it originally, doesn't mean that's how it's always going to be. It's just like, this is our starting point. This is as best as we knew at that time. And if we learn something else, please bring it in, because that's the only way, we're going to if we keep doing this, making this better, our clients get happy. And if our clients are happy, they're going to refer us. And if they refer us, we all get to keep doing what we enjoy doing. So let's do more of that, right? Like, that works you backwards back to that base cause.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, like, with anything in life, everybody wants to feel appreciated and have their voice heard. And so that's something I've certainly seen with the staff. Just, every time we sort of sit down and say, okay, how can we do this, or how can we do this better?
Yeah.
It's
Do you set up with your team like a ritual to do like those debriefs, or an opportunity for everybody on a regular basis to like, so what went well? What could we improve on? What's one thing that we could take into our next go?
Yeah. I think that's one thing I could certainly improve upon. We don't necessarily do it face to face or in a room together. With modern technology, and some of these folks are a little bit younger than I am, so they live off their phones. So we text a lot back and forth, which that's something that I've had to get used to. Because for me, it's always been, okay, well, you sit around a boardroom table and you talk about it. Okay, what works, what doesn't work, But with the teams, it's more over text.
Yeah.
And it works, for them it works. And yeah, actually now we do Zoom calls too as well.
Right.
It's been okay, but I think their preference is definitely over the text messages.
Well, I guess if it's a little bit more on the fly and stuff too, and then it still gets the messages coming through. So it sounds like you've really set up a great team culture to allow them to feel that they can say, hey, so like Salina, this is a better way to do that, right? A lot of people don't feel comfortable going, well, that's my boss, and I don't agree with hers, but I don't want to get yelled at or feel bad, so I'm not going to say anything. And now the company doesn't have an opportunity to be better. It's getting locked in, and you've created that opportunity for everyone to be part of that story.
Well, like I said, having spent almost 25 years as an employee myself, I know what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And I think one of the most important factors when I started the company was to make sure that my staff had a voice and that they weren't afraid to use it.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers.
You're just the one courageous enough to take the leap first and be like, clear enough, everyone come on through and I'll take the next one. So that's what your role as the leader is you get to go jump over the alligators and go, here's how to get there.
Boy, there have been some alligators too. Yeah. Definitely a learning process, but a fun one along the way.
What's been your, let's talk about your we'll say favorite alligator story. So what's been the biggest hurdle that you've had to face over this last 8 months, and now sitting back going, I still enjoy the process?
Yeah, I guess, well, COVID by far is the biggest hurdle. You don't, there was so many unknowns, so many fears, going into people's homes. Well, what's that going to look like? Can we go into people's homes? What products do we use? How do we do this? Especially when people are working from home now.
Yeah.
So trying to figure all that out was definitely probably one of the biggest challenges. We had to change some of our procedures. Definitely our costs went up because now you're using a lot more product. But it was nice because, I kind of sat down one day and I thought, okay, wait a minute, I can't keep going the way I'm going. I can't just sustain ourselves using the processes that we did before. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Why don't I just provide little kits to all my clients that they would keep in their homes? So rather than me tagging along their kits, like, okay, sometimes we have 6 cleans a day. So 6 cleaning kits for, client A, B, C, D, E, whatever. I'm going to just give them their own. They'll keep it in their own home. So that way, when our staff come in, they'll just go to their, underneath the kitchen counter, pull out their cleaning kit, and away we go. This
Right.
gave us the security, but also our clients the security, and knowing that, we're not using sponges from your neighbor down the street. We're like, this cleaning kit is completely unique to you in your home.
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out things like that, like how do we tackle this? How do we make sure that our clients feel safe, but then also our staff feel safe going into other people's homes?
Right. And to me, that sounds like a really personal touch, right? Like, have you had feedback on those kits being dropped off? Hey, I look at that from my marketing hat goes, that's brilliant, because now you've got an inside out cleaning kit in everybody's house. And it's just like, oh, who do you recommend? Look, they gave us our own cleaning supplies too. It's just like, stroke of genius.
I'm going to toot my own horn at that one. Yeah, that was one of those ingenious moments. They're few and far between, but yeah, I had it. Yeah, you know what? It's something that, so on one of the cleaning courses that I was taking, I mentioned it to the group that, oh, this is what we do. And all of a sudden, I could see, we were on a Zoom call, everyone's faces kind of just went, okay, I thought of that. But yeah, no, it's, yeah, you know what, they've been pretty receptive.
Yeah.
worth it. I do charge for it. It's a one-time fee,
Yeah.
$10. It's certainly not going to break the bank, but at least people know that it's specific to their own home, and just the fact that they know that I'm thinking of how to do things better, and keeping up with whatever situations arise. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, it just limits that cross contamination, which allows them to be a little bit more secure. You are in Vancouver, so that unfortunately that city and that region is much bigger hotbed than being here in the Okanagan. But so thinking about those kind of things really is more top of mind too,
Yeah.
and those little touches because I don't know, it's nice to be able to have somebody come in to do some of the deep cleaning and the cleaning stuff that you don't want to do because you've got other things on the go, and now you've just added one more layer of like certainty and security for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I worked full time. I raised two kids. I certainly know the juggles that most people face, and just time constraints too. Right? No, actually, it's not even just time constraints. It's just that, do I really want to spend my time cleaning my house, or do I want to do something with my family?
Yeah.
Or my friends, whoever.
But people you care about.
Yeah.
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 So as well, like we know each other from a mastermind group. So we were talking a little bit about how we have a coach that we have in common, Mr. Licky. And you were sharing a little bit with me, and considering it's still all right to dive into some of the the improvements you've seen by working with a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to just sort of go off?
Just go, like this is free form. There is no wrong answer here.
One of the things that we kind of talked about this before too, is that you don't know what you don't know. And I'd heard about business coaches and personal coaches, but I thought, whatever. That's for like the richer, like people that can really afford it. But I have to say, I didn't really know what a coach did. And I've known Licky for, I think, about 3 or 4 years. But I met him in a completely different situation. He was working, he was doing some work for a nonprofit, not a nonprofit, a charitable organization. And then years later, our paths crossed again, and he kind of told me what he was doing. And I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden, his Instagram feeds would pop up on my phone, and so I kind of checked him out and thought, okay, well, this is what he does. Wow, that's what a business coach does. And so we spent a little bit of time talking. And one of the things that I was really going through at that time was anxiety, an anxiety that sort of morphed its way into panic attacks. And he shared his experiences with me, and what he did to overcome that. And we just spent a lot of time talking. And then that sort of got me thinking about, okay, well, what does a coach do? And asking those types of questions. And just naturally, the conversation kind of formed its way into the business side of things. Well, what are you doing for business? How does this work? How does that work? What are some of the things that I was struggling with? It was just kind of asking those questions just purely out of interest.
Yeah.
And then, he told me about this mastermind group, and I thought, okay, I don't know, and he's like, no, seriously, check it out. And so I did. And that first call that we all had together just blew my mind. And I thought, okay, this is what it's all about. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, but other people do.
Yeah.
And so then I thought, yeah, okay, you know what? I think I'd like to work with a coach. And that's kind of how that relationship formed. But then, like I said, through this mastermind, I've met the rest of you guys, and each one of you are a coach in your own right. So it's been quite the journey and learning experience for me in developing myself, my abilities, but also overcoming some of my biggest hurdles and obstacles.
Yeah, and just having that guidance there kind of does speed it up a little bit. Like it's incredible the reflective ability of a good coach. Yeah. When you look at that, like it's not so much them going, here's the steps that you need to take to get through it. At least this has not been my experience when I've worked with coaches. And it's just more like, this is what I see? Is this what you see? And you're like, I don't like what I see at all. Like, is that really me? Oh, damn, now I got to do this work. And and it really empowers you to move ahead, because it got, like Licky talks about the BS, but it's just like it's blind spots for him, but it's bullshit. Like it's bullshit for us. Like, how much bullshit are we packing on our stories that we're wrapping around, and having somebody that just is you trust to just like poke into it and go, how's that feel? Be like, doesn't feel very good at all. Like, yeah, no doubt.
When you think about it, who would really do that? Like, my best friend doesn't even tell me like you're full of shit, or like, oh, okay, I don't think that's right, I mean, not that's what a coach does. You're not that. I mean, Licky doesn't do that, but just somebody to make you really.
He doesn't do that for you? Oh, he does that for me all the time.
Maybe I'm not there yet. No, but just someone to. It's the reflection of yourself. Basically everything that I say, when he says it back to me, all of a sudden it just doesn't sound as good as I thought it would, or I can hear my own bullshit one of
Yeah.
the two.
Mhm. Yeah, when it comes flying back, it's just like that needs some work. Who said that? That person is like ridiculous.
Yeah. It's that whole accountability piece too, right? Okay, well, you said you were going to do this, so why haven't you done it?
Yeah.
Or what's holding you back?
As well, I think, working with, people that you can trust to do that is like this concept of like tend and mend, right? Like we've got these stories or these like, challenges. For me, it's been overwhelm in the past. For you, it's been anxiety. And it's just like, okay, what's actually at that root of it? And having that permission to actually look at that wound, like visualize, for me, think about it like visualizing a wound. You're like, oh, that's filled with pus and that's yucky and that's not healing. You're like, I'm just going to ignore that and maybe it'll get better. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. When you actually have the ability to look at that and clean that, like visually cleaning in your mind, cleaning that wound out, just tending to it and then allowing it just to mend up. It's incredible the release that you get from that. Mm-hmm. And being able to be like, it's okay, you're healing now.
But that's something that I think a lot of people don't do. I mean, and I think I was one of them. I wouldn't have been able to look at myself or a wound or, any deficiencies within me. I don't know if deficiencies is the right word or not, but, just some of the obstacles that I was facing, I don't think I could have looked at myself in that kind of a light to say, I need to fix that. Or allow myself the ability to fix that.
No.
I think it really helps when you're working with someone else, a coach, and a variety of different coaches too. Because I think in our mastermind group, everyone brings a different perspective on things. Like I never knew what a happiness coach was until I met you, and I remember thinking, what exactly is that? What does he do? Into the company, and he's going to do like fun games and stuff for us. That's actually what I thought it was to begin with.
Yeah.
And as I got to know you and you started telling us more about it, it's just like, oh no, wait a minute. No, it's about me. It's not about everybody else. It's about me.
It really is. And it's like, for me, like it's interesting when people are like, what's an enjoyment coach? Be like, it's a name I just made up, but it fit. Like when I was pushed for it, it just fit, right? Because you talk about your journey and going through some really tough things, but you said you still enjoyed it and you still enjoy what you do. And there's so many people that don't. And it's such a bloody shame in my mind. Is like, I want to help make sure that people understand that there is a way to enjoy what you do. There's a way to link up. Maybe you're not in the right spot right now, but there's ways to link where you're at to your value set and then get that back on track to being like, this is a step. This isn't like the end of the road. This is a step. And if I do this and become really good at understanding and valuing this step, the next one I'll enjoy a little bit more and I'll enjoy a little bit more. And you get that momentum built up. And that's where, I don't know, that for me, that's just where the fun is in building businesses and actually building your life. Really, it's all the same coin. You want to say some people are like, are you a business coach or a life coach? Be like, same shit. It's the same coin. You're just looking at it from one side or the other, and you got to keep both of them up, or else it's worth nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, it's not, being a business owner or as a human being, for that matter, it's not always about having fun. There are times where it's not fun, and there are times when you don't know, okay, how am I going to get there? How am I going to make it? How am I going to change this to make it better? And
Yeah.
so we'll go through that, the ups and downs. But it's kind of nice having someone to point out that, okay, this is just a little blip in the road. How are we going to get through it? What are you going to do to pull yourself out of it and make it better?
Yeah, it's like the quote, "This too shall pass,"
Mm-hmm.
and it does.
Yeah.
And it's that mindset, right? And if you're going to be running a business, how can you get to hear awesome conversations that are all over the internet? Like, it's not just from this LiveCast; they're everywhere. People sharing their stories about being triumphant and getting through it, and just knowing it's possible.
Yeah.
'Cause I think somebody, like I was saying earlier, I think somebody somewhere will listen to this and go, "Oh, I needed that."
I hope so. Yeah. But it's been, yeah, it has definitely been, and it's a road that I've just started for me personally. Certainly, there's a long way to go, but
Well, hopefully we all have a very long runway ahead of us, so that there's still tons and tons of learning to do, and things that we haven't even conceptualized yet that are going to face us.
yeah.
But it comes down to, like, I think for yourself, I hear your story and I go, I don't know if she gets how tough she's making herself, teaching yourself that you can pick these things up and get through them. That, like, oh, this is just a training opportunity to get better at picking up the heavy stuff that other people look at, go, I don't want to pick that heavy stuff up. And you, as a leader, you get to build a team and clear the pathway for them.
Yeah. But every once in a while it's nice to hear someone else say it. So just someone else to acknowledge, okay, that, Salina, this is what you're doing. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. And then I'm like, well, yeah, I am doing that. It is pretty cool. I am a cool person.
Well, you get it. You get too, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes, right? You're in it, and when you're the boss, you're the CEO and the leader. It's really hard to get that kind of feedback, because that's not your team's responsibility, right? There is a bit of like that resilience, and can be a very lonely thing. So being able to have the trusted people around you to go be like, you realize what you're doing? Oh, is this a bad thing? Be like, no, you're doing some incredible work. Like, you're doing awesome. Like, being able to scale your team from yourself now going on to 8 or maybe more, like, that in itself is incredible. Like, that's a super skill that somebody's going to want to hear more about one day from you. And I don't know if you realize that either, is like being able to scale a team successfully and keep that culture going and keep it, the growth in a positive thing for the business, for the employees, for yourself, and for your clients. It's a difficult juggling act, and you're doing it at the hardest time in our generation.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Making the dream come true. Yeah.
Well, I got one last question for you then. So if you could go back a year ago, as you are now, what would you tell Salina that was a year younger?
I think I would have to say, don't doubt yourself so much, and really look at what resources are available to you through coaching. Like I said, for me, that's probably been the biggest shift in my entire being. It definitely has opened my eyes to a different way of thinking, feeling gratitude, looking to see what I'm going to create every day. I think that's one thing that I have to say, Jean, you have inspired me. I was telling this to Licky just before I met you, actually, for that first time a couple of weeks ago. I look forward to your morning text messages. 5 a.m. There you are. It's such an uplifting way to start the morning, is when you start to feel gratitude for all the things that you have, what you've accomplished, for the people that have made it possible. So really to start thinking about all the people that in my life, or all the people that have impacted my life, positively or negatively. I'm grateful for that whole experience. So I think if I had to go back and think like a year ago, I wish I would have started that a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Gratitude.
I think gratitude's a huge thing. So it, it does change your mindset, right? It's really hard to be upset or negative when you're trying to find what you can be grateful for, and it's all around us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're almost out of time, so I want to respect your time. So thank you so much for being guest number 4 on this and being so open to having these conversations and sharing your adventures with us. One last time, give a shout out to how people are going to find you.
InsideOutVancouver.ca, Inside Out Cleaning Services. Yeah, and thank you for your time.
Well, I am grateful for you being on this call today and sharing some more wisdom with everybody. So thank you very much. And until next time, I'm Gene, the Enjoyment Coach, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
All right. Talk to you later, Salina.
Bye.
Bye.